Hello and welcome to Discovery Days by ActualTech Media. Today's topic, the IT journey, the technologies today that will transform tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us on this event. We've got a really great lineup for you on this Discovery Days special event. On the event, you'll hear from our experts at Rubric, Pure Storage, Okta, Thycotic with Centrify, Espressive, Metallic, Plyops, and Pavilion. Again, thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't been on a Discovery Days event before here, the idea is to hear about some of the most innovative technologies available today in the enterprise technology world to help you to quickly learn about these technologies as fast as possible in a condensed, fast-paced format here. And then if you're interested in these specific technologies, after each presentation from our experts, you'll have the option to choose to attend or receive an invitation to a day 2 session. These day 2 sessions are happening all day tomorrow, and they're relatively fast-paced as well. But the idea of those day 2 sessions is to help you to get a deep dive into these specific technologies. So during the event, you'll be presented with a series of poll questions asking you if you'd like to receive an invitation to the day 2 session on this topic. Now, before we get started, just a few things that you should know about the Discovery Days event. We have, of course, a number of prizes, amazing prizes, actually, and I'll be talking about those here in just a moment, as well as the eligibility requirements for those. We also encourage your questions, but I do want to encourage you, if you have additional questions, to opt to attend, again, the day 2 session, because that's the idea of those day 2 sessions, is to get a deep dive into the topic. We want this to be a social event. You can tweet directly from your audience console, and the hashtag for today on Twitter will be automatically appended. I'll be talking more about that here in just a moment. And then in the resources tab, I want to encourage you to check out the handouts, or I should say the handouts tab. It's there that you'll find a number of resources, hand-selected resources by each of today's 8 expert presenters. So make sure that you check out the handouts tab. It's right there next to the questions tab. And of course, when it comes to questions, we love our ActualTech Media audience. I want to say thank you to everyone out there who's joining us. And of course, thank you to all the hellos and good afternoons and good mornings from around the world and across the United States. So thank you so much for your support on this Discovery Days event. Now, as I mentioned, we have a number of awesome prizes. In fact, we'll be giving out one Samsung S21 every 15 minutes roughly on the event today, after each of our presentations. You must be live in attendance to qualify for the prize drawings, and of course, meet the ActualTech Media prize terms and conditions, which you'll find there in your handouts tab. All prize winners must submit a IRS Form W-9 to ActualTech Media, and we will reach out to you via email after the event if you are a winner. You always have the option to donate your prize value to the selected charities that you see here on the screen. And over the years, thousands of dollars have been donated to charity thanks to generous prize winners who opt to donate their prize value to charity. Again, we would love to help you do that if you would like to help someone maybe less fortunate than yourself. When it comes to social, the hashtag for today is ATM Discovery Days. And if you tweet directly on your console there using the Twitter icon, that hashtag will be automatically appended. You can follow ActualTech Media on Twitter, and me, your moderator, David M. Davis, as well. Subscribe to all the ActualTech Media social channels, YouTube, Facebook, and the 10 on Tech podcast over in the iTunes podcast store. And of course, follow ActualTech Media on LinkedIn for the latest and greatest in enterprise technology. You'll find the links to do that there in your audience console as well. Now, before I introduce you to our first presenter, I also want to remind you about the Gorilla Guide Book Club. You can go to gorilla.guide, or in the handouts tab, you'll find a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club. This is where you can download free, easy to read enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts. Almost all of them, I believe, are available in mobile format. You can download them on your Kindle or iPad and read them at your leisure. It's a great way to stay up to date. Also, I want to mention our Refer a Friend or coworker to ActualTech Media's online event program. We encourage you to refer your IT friends or IT coworkers, and both of you could win an Amazon $300 gift card. These drawings are held once a month, and you can click on the URL right there on the screen, or also find the same link in the Handouts tab. And at the end of the event, you'll be automatically referred to that page as well. All right. And with that, it's now time to kick off today's Discovery Day event. I'm excited to bring in now our first presenter from Rubric. Welcome, Zachary Bly, Solutions Architect at Rubric. Zachary, take it away.
My name is Zach Bly, and I'm a sales engineer with Rubric. I appreciate you allowing me the time to speak with you about who we are, what drove our ambitions, and how we're really making a splash in the realm of modern backup and recovery. So we started our journey by listening to our customers, why they needed help and where they needed it the most. We were told time and time again that the backup systems being used over the years don't really align with the business needs of tomorrow. IT is being asked to do more with less, but the backup tools in place require a ton of manual effort and babysitting. So as the data grows, the environment becomes more complex to keep up with requirements. And these legacy tools have outdated architectures. Not only do they result in slower and inconsistent recoveries over time, they significantly slow down the organization's ability to adjust, pivot, and stay competitive. So all this forces organizations to buy multiple backup products from multiple vendors for different workloads, use cases, and spend a ton of money in the process. And that doesn't include the cost to train people or hire someone to run those legacy systems. And these are typically large CapEx purchases that require frequent hardware refreshes and carry unpredictable costs in future years. This was and still is our why. Why did Rubric enter the market, and why are we working so hard to disrupt the status quo? So this led us to focusing on three main areas to align with organizations as they go through their digital transformation, and similarly, where we believe we can help you and your team. The first is building a modern architecture with constant innovation that leads to saving time, improving operational efficiency, and reducing costs associated with data protection. The second is providing a purpose-built platform for hybrid and multi-cloud environments to increase cloud mobility and improve business agility while taking advantage of the cloud's economies of scale. And lastly, but most importantly, is doing these two things with the utmost level of security. This includes meeting compliance across any industry regulation and ensuring your sensitive data is fully secured in the case of any unplanned event or disaster such as ransomware. This became our purpose and answer to how we're going to fix the problems that challenge organizations for so long. So one of the reasons organizations are adopting Rubric is because data protection hasn't changed that much over the last 20 to 30 years. It's a complex architecture that's made up of different hardware and software components that require a lot of time to manage and maintain. Well, we modernize this by consolidating all these components and eliminating the complexity that comes from manual processes, such as backup jobs, schedules, windows, tasks, with a single software fabric that scales out infinitely to provide data protection regardless of where that data sits. And organizations aren't meeting recovery objectives with their legacy solutions that often require multiple steps to recover, often resulting in delays and downtime. With Rubric, you can leverage Google-like search capabilities across the entire environment to quickly find and restore individual files from any point in time. Then you can mount the Rubric backup directly to the host to instantly recover that data within seconds. So whether you're recovering from a corrupt database or a ransomware attack, recovery is what Rubric was built for. And we mentioned how legacy backup has gotten exponentially expensive over the years due to hardware upgrades, maintenance, and the personnel costs to maintain. Well, modern backup is less expensive. Rubric customers can save 20 to 40% in total hard costs, and they typically recover 80 to 90% of their operational time when they move off their legacy systems. So Most of the organizations we work with are still in the early phases of defining their cloud strategy and embarking on their cloud journey. There are typically 3 use cases where organizations have consistently asked and leveraged Rubric for help. The first is making it easy to archive data to cloud and take advantage of their cheap and deep storage for the long-term retention and compliance. Rubric can help convert your on-prem applications to cloud-ready workloads and accelerate the move away from on-prem infrastructure. Finally, Rubric can extend the same level of simplicity, security, and granularity as we do on-prem to cloud-native workloads without pulling the data back down on-prem, and instead by keeping it in your cloud tenant. And all of this is visible in one console, so you have a single pane of glass to manage and monitor it all. We also believe that Rubric is by far the most secure data protection solution in the market because of our unique approach to security. Every element of Rubric was and is designed with security in mind from day one. It starts with our end-to-end encryption, followed by our built-in granular reporting to know what is happening when it's happening, to our role-based access controls and zero trust design. And last but not least, our immutability. So we explained why we're here and how we're building our strategy, but now we'll give an overarching view of what we're doing to help organizations and IT teams, starting with modernization. So we've implemented automation, AI, machine learning, hyperconvergence, and other new technologies to ensure simplicity, security, and availability of your data. We've partnered with the major cloud providers to seamlessly extend your data protection as you transition along your cloud journey. We've built our platform with software flexibility and license portability to align to your cloud strategy no matter if, when, or how it changes. And we've used our unique position as the data protection provider to unlock intelligence from your backup data, turning it into a business asset. This allows us to innovate further and create new tools to meet the needs of our customers. Today, we'll highlight the 2 that are critical to every organization: cyber resiliency and data governance. So let's dive into those details. When we ingest data, we index it, allowing us to unlock unique capabilities and tools to further enhance your data protection. One of these tools was built to help organizations proactively defend against ransomware and speed up mitigation, whereas our immutability prevents ransomware from spreading. We can detect anomalies when they happen, to discover files that have been modified, deleted, or added because of ransomware. We can help identify the blast radius and know what specific files were impacted. In a matter of seconds, we can help you easily recover a clean and verified copy of that data with one click. Because of this, ransomware is no longer a concern for Rubric and our customers. Another tool we introduced last year is aimed at helping organizations with data governance and classification. Because we have that index of metadata, we can scan it to look for sensitive data, typically hiding in unstructured file sets that's subject to regulatory compliance. We can run the data against industry standards such as PCI, PII, HIPAA, GDPR, or custom analyzers and notify you of existing compliance violations and where exactly they sit within your subsystems. It's incredibly easy to turn on and get started in minutes without any services, training, or learning curve. And we can do this all without the need for additional infrastructure and consolidate yet another point solution for organizations. Rubric is using your backup data for classification to help you support current and future data privacy regulations. So to summarize, Rubric is simplifying IT through modernization, helping customers accelerate cloud adoption, and unlocking additional value from backup data to strengthen data security and resiliency. So touching on cyber resilience, right? Cyber resilience is literally the #1 topic on the minds of all our customers. Over the past week alone, we've had countless customers hit with ransomware. In each case, they're able to recover quickly without paying the ransom. How? It's because of our unique approach and our position in the technology stack. If you're like most of our customers, you've already invested a bunch of perimeter solutions to secure data, whether that's endpoint security, firewalls, etc. Right? But what we found is that you simply can't build thick enough walls, and you need to assume that the bad guys are going to get in. In a Rubric, where we've reimagined and brought security to the point of data. This way, when the bad guys do breach your perimeter, right, it doesn't matter. Your data is secure and, more importantly, recoverable. So here's how we see a typical ransomware attack playing out. First, your transactional systems are locked down and you receive the dreaded ransom note. At this point, you have two choices. You can either pay the ransom, which according to a recent study put out by CrowdStrike will cost you on average 1.1 million, or you can attempt to recover. Most customers have already invested a bunch of money in various security products and data protection, so of course they attempt to recover. At this point, you'll need to engage two different teams who typically don't work together. Your security operations team will perform forensics and a multitude of other tasks, ultimately asking IT to restore IT operations to restore data. Unfortunately, the bad guys are getting smarter and oftentimes will also encrypt your backups. If this is the case, you're right back to paying the ransom. If you're one of the lucky ones and your backups are still safe, the next challenge is what exactly needs to be recovered, in what order, and was there any sensitive data in the scope? Oftentimes, this will take weeks, if not months, which is simply not tolerable to the business. So once again, you're back to paying the ransom. How can Rubric change this game? When it comes time to recover, we have insights we can share to drive collaboration between your security and IT operators. But at the core of it all is a modern data protection solution built on a zero trust architecture with a scratch-built file system, meaning your backups are immutable and can never be compromised. We have insights that will show you the exact blast radius of the attack, so you know exactly what you need to recover, and we can also tell you if sensitive data was in scope. Most importantly, though, we allow you to recover quickly, so you never have to pay that ransom. So let me tell you how it works. As mentioned previously, it all starts with a modern data protection solution. If this is your first exposure to Rubric, dating all the way back to 2014, we set out to build a better, faster, and cheaper backup recovery platform built with API and cloud in mind. From the inception of Rubric, we've always put data security front and center. This is evident in our immutable append-only file system with a logical air gap and a zero trust architecture. We have some very exciting innovations around data forensics so you can understand the exact blast radius of the attack and if any sensitive data was in scope. And since our solution was built on a REST API, we can easily integrate with any orchestration tools your security operations team is currently using. But most importantly, and the main reason customers are investing in these types of projects, is our ability to recover and to recover quickly. And we provide options, right? You can do surgical granular recovery of just a few files, or bulk recovery, or even automated orchestrated recovery at the application level. And the last piece, I want to touch on the key principles of data protection and where Rubric lines up within these, right? Traditionally, backups present themselves online, either with no air gap or a physical air gap. Typically, immutability hadn't been considered, and zero trust was very traditional. Trust but verify. With Rubric, that all changes, right? We leverage a logical backup, keeping backups offline, our immutable file system, in that files cannot be edited, and a zero trust, never trust, always verify architecture. So logical backups with immutability plus zero trust, that's what Rubric's playing in, and that's where we excel. So with that, I appreciate the time, and with Rubric, don't back up, but go forward. Thanks.
All right, great presentation. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that, Zach. We do have a poll question that just came up on the screen for everyone out there that says, would you like to receive an invitation to Rubric's deep dive session taking place tomorrow to learn more? And I should point out that this, there's no obligation, of course. You're just going to get an invitation to the event via email after today's day one sessions complete. So if you can't make that event, you will receive a link to the recording. So if you would like to learn more about Rubric, then we encourage you to say yes. And obviously, there's a lot of folks out there who are interested in Rubric. Some great questions have come in about how, whether or not Rubric uses a native format, what security measures are taken by Rubric. Does Rubric support multi-cloud? How does Rubric identify points of corruption? Great questions. These are the types of things that will be answered on the event tomorrow. So I encourage you to indicate yes there to the poll and receive an invitation to that event. But we do appreciate the questions, and we are routing those over to our experts from Rubric as well. All right, so I'll leave that poll question up for everyone to respond to while I announce our first prize winner. As I mentioned at the start here, we have Samsung S21s for each of the 8 presentations on the event today. And our first prize winner, this is going out to Simon Young from California. Congratulations, Simon Young from California. Still 7 more grand prizes to give out on today's Discovery Day event. All right, I'll leave that poll question up, give everyone a moment here to respond, and then we can move on to our next presentation on the Discovery Day. All right, thank you for all those poll responses. We already announced the Samsung S21 smartphone winner. And keep in mind, this will be in the color of your choice. It's now time for our next presenter on today's Discovery Day. Welcome, Mr. Sam Marachini, Director for Partner Solutions and Strategy at Pure Storage. Sam, over to you.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. I'm Sam Marachini, part of the Pure Storage Portfolio Messaging team, and a special thank you to ATM for the opportunity to speak to you today about something that is near and dear to my heart. And it's something that's been going on in the storage industry for decades. You see, every application, every workload, and every piece of data should get enterprise capabilities and functionalities. The size of the organization or your organization shouldn't dictate the type of storage array that you purchase. All data should get the same feature functionality of the biggest, best storage array in the industry. And that's exactly what we are delivering here at Pure Storage, because mid-market customers deserve enterprise functionality. And if you're an enterprise customer, why do you have to choose between mid-range and enterprise storage for your applications? It's because of a legacy mindset that's been put in place by legacy storage providers for decades. So let's take a second and talk about the term mid-range storage, or the term mid-range in general. When did we first hear the term mid-range? It was actually in the 1960s. You see, there were mainframe computers and microcomputers. And in the middle, what evolved was an x86-based mid-range PC. And that PC got attached to networks, and the networks got bigger and bigger and more complicated. And ultimately, it made a lot of sense to install a storage area network to consolidate the storage on the back end. And that was in the 1990s, the first time that we heard the term mid-range storage. So why was there mid-range storage? Well, it's because those legacy storage providers that are still there today were selling these huge, complex, 3 refrigerator-sized storage systems that were hardware-centric. They're hardware-centric with controllers, a mid-range of cache, all to mask the fact that spinning disk drives are fundamentally slow, and the I/O channel was slow. So they put lots of data, lots of hardware at the issue, and they solved it. The problem in the 1990s was there was no way to sell smaller customers that big storage array. So what did they do? They took away controllers. They took away the cache. They took away capabilities. They took software away from the picture to lower the cost, which is what they were after. But what they did when they lowered the cost was took away feature functionality and created this mid-range platform that couldn't do all of the things that enterprise storage could do, but a smaller customer could afford it. And along those lines, if you remove hardware, you remove software, because the software is the value. That's where the functionality comes from. Have less hardware, you have less software, you have less functionality. Putting customers in this endless cycle, infinity loop of purchasing a new storage array, learning how to use it, migrating data to it, maybe taking an outage to get the data moved, coming on a weekend to move that data around, but you have to learn how to use it. Then a new business requirement comes along. And you know what? There's this great feature in that storage array that would address that business issue. But as it turns out, that feature needs a software update. But the array that's in the data center doesn't support the software update. So the customer needed to sweat the lease or go through a data migration to a new storage array or to that new platform. And in a lot of cases, it was indeed a completely different storage platform with different software that provided different functionality, which forced you to learn something new. Find a way to migrate the data to it, take the outage, repurchase the capacity again that you had already purchased. What we have done at Pure Storage is broke our customers out of these chains. We have broke the limits of legacy storage architectures. Now, the best way that I can explain that is with an analogy. And I love the music industry. I think we all can go down that route. So in the 1960s, we had record albums. We spun them up. We listened to them in the 60s and 70s. Then in the 80s, it was the advent of the compact cassette. We had our boom boxes. We could carry our boom boxes around. Our music went with us. Or maybe it was a Walkman. We had that small device that we were able to walk around and carry our music with us. Then in the 1990s, it was the compact disc, digital versus analog. I could jump ahead to any song that I wanted to listen to. I didn't have to rewind anything. Fundamentally different. But something interesting happened to me along the way. I repurchased the album of my favorite artist multiple times, which is exactly what customers are doing today, purchasing storage every time they need an array. Now, interestingly enough, in the 2000s, the advent of the media player was dwarfed by the cloud-like experience delivered with an MP3, the separation of the hardware from the software, the stateless nature, the cloud experience in the 2000s when the only clouds we knew about were rain clouds. Nobody had applied the term cloud to IT yet, but that's exactly what was delivered with the MP3. And by the way, that stateless architecture is everything because the stateless approach makes all of the difference. Those legacy storage providers are still today rooted in hardware. The software is tied to the hardware. If you make a change, you need to change microcode. You need to do the right upgrades to get that to happen. What we did at Pure when we were founded almost 12 years ago was completely change the storage design. We separated the hardware from the software. Pure One software and direct flash modules are separate. This has given us the ability to do things like instantaneously turn on synchronous replication over fiber channel at no additional cost, and it's part of the software. We did things like moved our customers from a SaaS backend to NVMe without an outage. When we do controller swaps, we are actually giving you a new storage array without you needing to repurchase the capacity. It's a subscription to innovation, a subscription service that we started over 10 years ago. If you were one of the early adopters of Pure's flash array, you haven't migrated your data, repurchased capacity since that installation 10 years ago. Think about that for a second. How many times have you repurchased capacity and moved your storage from one array to another? It shouldn't be that difficult. And by the way, this fundamental approach to the software is exactly what evergreen is. Evergreen is a term that we applied to the technology. Evergreen is everything. It means no more storage refreshes, no more data migrations, no more weekend outages or downtime. It's the foundation for Purity Cloud Block Store, for Purity Cloud Snap. It gives us the mobility to do things like that Cloud Block Store. And by the way, that's the foundation for Pure as a service. And that's why Gartner sees us as the leader in completeness of vision in their Magic Quadrant. 7 years in a row, we've been in the upper right corner. But here's what's interesting. That Magic Quadrant is for primary storage. It's not for mid-range versus enterprise because there really is only one type of storage, primary storage. It's not for all flash versus hybrid. It's for primary storage. You shouldn't need to choose between a mid-range array or an enterprise array based on feature functionality. You should get enterprise capabilities for all of your workloads and all of your data. And by the way, we continue to evolve. Look at what happened in the music industry. In the 2010s, it was the advent of streaming services. The industry changed. My children don't buy albums. They buy songs, and they subscribe to services that predict what they may want to listen to based on what they previously listened to. And by the way, Pure as a Service, our as a service subscription model, was introduced in 2018. Customers are leveraging it to pay for the storage that they're using, leveraging that same foundation from when we deployed and first came out with FlashArray. Same software all the way along. What happens next? Well, as we evolve, you saw recently our double down on as a service. Everything is moving to that as a service model. The music industry is completely flipped on its head. Storage industry is going to do the same thing. And we are leading the way in as a service consumption, just like the music industry is evolving. And by the way, it's all about software. Pure One is the software that has given us our 83.5 Net Promoter Score. Now, it started, and it's sort of interesting because it's all managed from your mobile device. You update your storage array from your mobile device just like you would update an app. Ever update a game on your phone? You hit update all the time. The same thing is true for Pure as a Service, allowing us to deliver feature functionality when it's ready, not making you wait for the next major release. We're constantly upgrading Pure One for you. And by the way, Pure One, not only the foundation for FlashArray, but also for FlashBlade and Portworx. And Pure as a Service. You manage the infrastructure exactly the same regardless of where it sits or how you're consuming that. That gives you the ability to simplify storage management and deliver enterprise features for all of your workloads. So I leave you with this question. Mid-range versus enterprise storage is the wrong question. It's a hardware-centric approach. How many controllers do you have? It doesn't matter. It mattered in the 1960s. It doesn't matter today. Hardware versus software-centric. Our storage arrays are software-centric, designed to give you flexibility to provide the capabilities you need for your infrastructure. Now, on the second day of this conference, you're going to hear Kevin Rickson talk all about the as-a-service utility model that we have developed, giving you the agility and flexibility that you need in that subscription service. And by the way, that subscription service isn't new to us. We've been doing that since the beginning. Evergreen is a subscription model, subscription to innovation. You'll get into some of those details. Oh, and by the way, IDC and customers all agree. We changed the storage industry. We broke the mold of purchasing a storage array and then 3 years later getting hit with maintenance costs and needing to do a repurchase. We've done that flat and fair across the board for maintenance in a subscription that provides to you all of the capacity, performance, and capabilities that you need. By the way, everything I've talked about so far has been block storage. We at Pure know there's way more than block storage, and we've moved beyond block because we know that there's an evolving data landscape that's impacting you today. Digital transformation is real. We know it's a marketing term that gets thrown around, but it's happening. It's happening to everyone, and it's causing multiple copies of data challenges, trying to execute against that. What we have done is delivered the only unified fast file and object platform on the planet, giving you the ability to consolidate those file and object workloads into a single chassis or FlashBlade that will scale with any of those applications. By the way, this is about applications. It's about use cases. It's about workloads. And at the end of the day, we have structured our entire company on 4 primary pillars. Accelerating your applications, Oracle, Microsoft, SAP, enabling multi-cloud capabilities, think cloud block store, replicating data from your data center into AWS or Azure, modernizing data protection. Ransomware is everywhere. Safe Mode Snapshot gives us the ability to recover from ransomware. And with our partners, both Alliance and channel partners, give you the entire ransomware package. Also activating real-time analytics, AI, machine learning. That's where our focus is in both the converged platform and storage. Now, when it comes to applications, we know that that landscape is evolving as well. Modern applications are taking over, giving our customers like you, challenges around availability for those platforms. How do I make sure that my mobile devices and my mobile apps have the same high availability as all of the other applications in my data center? We know that a Kubernetes data service platform is required. And that's exactly why we're about to celebrate the first anniversary of Portworx being part of Pure Storage, providing a platform for building, automating, protecting, and securing those cloud-native applications. All of these things together are a modern data experience, helping you to drive your breakthroughs. Enterprise for all. Don't settle for mid-range storage. Mid-range storage is dead. Enterprise for all. Head to purestorage.com/rethink storage for more information, and be sure to come back tomorrow when Kevin Rickson is going to get into all the details around that subscription to innovation. Thanks for joining me. I'm Sam Marachini.
Wow, awesome presentation, Sam. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see what Kevin does tomorrow to, maybe try to top that one with a deep dive into the Pure Storage solution. I've just brought up a poll question here for everyone out there that says, would you like to receive an invitation to Pure's deep dive session taking place tomorrow? Again, if you can't make it, no worries. You'll get an email invitation. And if you can't attend, you will receive an email with a link to the recording. So we encourage you to respond if you are interested there with the poll. And so we've got a number of great questions coming in here as well about QLC Flash, how to protect data across multiple clouds, and centralizing protection copies in one location. Questions about Pure One, the subscription service. So great questions. These, again, will all be answered in tomorrow's deep dive session. And of course, we appreciate your response there on the poll. I'll leave that up while I announce our next grand prize winner. We have another Samsung S21 5G smartphone. This is going to Whitney Lyon from Texas. Congratulations, Whitney Lyon from Texas. All right, I'll give the poll here another moment, and then we'll move on to our next presentation on today's Discovery Day event. All right, thank you for all those responses to the poll. It's time now to move on to our next presentation. I'm excited now to bring on Lance Malacara, Group Product Marketing Manager at Okta. Lance, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session, which is called The Role of Identity in the Enterprise, an approach to hybrid IT. Today, we're only going to cover just a short preview of our vision of how we can help companies make the most out of their hybrid IT environment with Okta. We're going to talk about how we think of identity as a connected fabric that can help larger organizations with complex environments make the most out of their hybrid IT infrastructure by connecting their systems seamlessly with Okta, deliver a seamless user experience across on-prem and hosted systems as well as public cloud services, and drive agility, flexibility, and business efficiency with identity. My name is Lancelot Malacara. I'm a product marketing manager here at Okta, where I lead our efforts to help larger organizations transform their IT and business operations and realize the value of identity across hybrid IT environments. In this session, we're going to start with a sort of like laying the foundation or level setting the group on what hybrid IT is, why is it here to stay, and how we see our customers thinking about hybrid IT these days. Then we're going to go into how you can actually connect all of your hybrid IT resources using Okta. And then we'll spend the majority of time walking through the different products and services that Okta has built over time, like Okta Access Gateway, to help organizations extend Okta to hybrid IT environments in specific and different ways. And we'll do a quick demo of all of these different products and solutions to help you see how everything comes together. And finally, we will conclude with a vision of where we're taking the product on into the near future. So the thesis for this session is that hybrid IT is not going anywhere. Hybrid IT is actually here to stay. It is growing, and in fact, It is the environment of choice for the vast majority of companies out there. So what do we mean when we say that? Hybrid IT is composed of the combination of public cloud, hosted services, and on-premises data centers. Probably, actually more likely than not, especially if you're in a large organization that has been around for a while, it's likely that you're operating in an environment that has some combination of all these things, if not all of them. This pretty much happens to every company, of a certain age and size. It is basically a symptom of success of the company. So it's not a question of whether this is going to happen or not to your organization. Really, the question is, when is it going to happen? And even more importantly, what happens next? What do I do next? What do we do in this world where hybrid IT is so prevalent? From an IT perspective, the trends that we see here, these trends tend to fracture IT operations, and we see our customers, we see IT teams when we talk to our customers, we see that they find themselves responsible for dozens of environments and having to streamline hundreds of disjointed services. These services are often scattered across the globe. The resources and applications are scattered. Your users are using different technologies and taking various different approaches to leveraging the technology that they need in order to get their jobs done. All of these things lead to what we call hybrid IT. And over the last 18 months or so, we're seeing an acceleration of all of these trends. So hybrid IT is real. It is prevalent, and it is actually growing. It is a challenge, but it's also a big opportunity. There are many benefits and reasons why it makes sense for organizations to want to keep a hybrid IT environment. In fact, we see that 89% of companies out there are actually choosing a hybrid IT environment. They are deliberately choosing to build a hybrid IT environment. It's 89% of companies. It's the vast majority of companies out there. Hybrid IT is the result of companies growing more quickly than ever before, of technology playing a bigger role in defining business models, and technology professionals working to meet the demands of global business. So not only is hybrid IT growing, but actually the more successful organizations that we see are the ones, especially when we think about larger organizations, the most successful companies that we see out there are the ones that are actually embracing hybrid IT. To them, hybrid IT provides options. It provides opportunities. There is this very interesting stat in this area that 80% of IT professionals surveyed by IDC reported repatriating workloads from the public cloud. That means bringing workloads back from the public cloud. So why does this happen? If the public cloud is cheaper, if it's easier, and if it's more flexible with their technology, and all of these things are true, then why would organizations be repatriating workloads and bringing them back into their hosted data centers or bringing them back on-prem? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. In many ways, there are a lot of value drivers that are compelling companies to repatriate these workloads. When you put things into perspective, the reality is that in the end, it all comes down to control. It's about having better control over the cost of running your IT operations. It is control of your data. It is about controlling or having more control about over what technology is being used by which users and why. And it is about maintaining a centralized view and a centralized control across your entire IT environment. And as I said before, when we look back at the last 18 months or so, we can see that there's been an acceleration of some, if not all, of these trends that are feeding the growth of hybrid IT. Not only were companies already distributed before the pandemic, they transitioned to more flexible and distributed teams, distributed work was already ongoing before the pandemic, but now for every company, all of their employees are actually working from home, or the vast majority of them are, and working from home means working from anywhere in the world, really. We also see that budgets are much more constrained because companies are really trying to ruthlessly prioritize in this environment. Industries themselves are rapidly shifting. So not only are we looking at different business models fueled by technology within the same type of industry, but we see industries being upended because of the paradigm shift that the pandemic brought about. But the truth is that in reality, these challenges were not triggered by the pandemic. They were only accelerated and became more urgent because of the pandemic. They became the biggest priority for every company's ability to operate in this environment. So if we look at that again, if we look at it from this perspective, when we look at the last 18 months as having incredibly accelerated, all of these trends, we can better understand also the challenges that companies need to sort, and understand really that these challenges are becoming more urgent than ever before. Challenges like how do I traverse network boundaries in a world where no one's on the same network anymore? How do I get control over the myriad access control mechanisms that I have? How do I manage isolated data stores? And how do I provide a user experience that is not fragmented as a result of the fragmentation of my environment? In this session, we're going to walk through the different products and solutions that Okta has built over time to help large organizations make sense and connect and secure their hybrid IT environments. We're going to start with an overview of Okta Access Gateway, or OAG. With OAG, customers can extend all of the benefits of Okta, that secure and seamless access experience to thousands of applications in the cloud. They can actually extend that to their on-premises web applications without the need to write a single line of code. OAG makes Okta the only identity as a service provider that can fully replace legacy single sign-on and web access management solutions like CA SiteMinder or Oracle Access Manager, which are very expensive to maintain, and some of which are being retired or deprecated by vendors. And finally, OAG helps customers standardize complex identity silos onto a single and unified system. We'll also talk about ASA, or Advanced Server Access. ASA also extends the simplicity, the security, and the reliability of Okta to your servers and critical infrastructure, specifically Windows and Linux servers. And ASA will expand over time to support public cloud infrastructure providers like AWS, GCP, and Azure, as well as containers and databases. And finally, we have agents that connect Okta to legacy technologies via various legacy protocols to help you connect to more types of servers, Wi-Fi, and VPNs, among others. So if this is interesting to you, if you want to learn more about how Okta can help you connect your hybrid IT environment and consolidate on a single identity solution across cloud and on-prem, make sure to join this session. We will dive deep into the Okta solution for hybrid IT, and we will show demos of how it all comes together. Remember, the name of the session is the role of identity in the enterprise, an approach to hybrid IT. And if you cannot wait for that session, or you cannot wait to get your hands dirty with Okta, head to our website at www.okta.com/free trial and make sure to get started on a free trial of Okta. Thank you so much, and see you then.
Cool presentation there, Lance. Really appreciate that. I've just brought up the poll question for everyone out there. Would you like to receive an invitation to Okta's deep dive session, which is, again, taking place tomorrow, as are all the other deep dive sessions. They'll be really just one after the other throughout the day. And so if you'd like to receive an invitation to Okta's deep dive session, just indicate yes there on the poll. A number of questions came in as well about can we have processes granting unique IDs? How do you ensure data security for customers working from remote locations and data across multiple clouds? How can Okta help with that? Excellent questions. We're routing those to the experts at Okta to respond to. But in the meantime, if you have questions like those, I encourage you to just say yes on the deep dive invite there, and that will be the purpose of tomorrow's session, is to get more information. These will be smaller group sessions than, as compared to today's larger event. And the focus really is getting your questions answered. So I'll leave up that poll question for you to respond to while I announce our next prize winner. This is for another Samsung S21 5G smartphone in your choice of color. And it's going out to Christopher Cordry from California. Congratulations to Christopher Cordry from California. We'll reach out to deliver your new Samsung S21. We've got still 5 more Samsung smartphones to award on Discovery Days today. So make sure that you stay tuned for those as well as more really innovative enterprise technology solutions. All right. Thank you to everyone who responded there to the poll. We do appreciate your feedback. It's now time to move on to our next presentation on Discovery Days. I'm excited now to introduce you to Mr. Joseph Carson, Chief Security Scientist at Thycotic with Centrify. Joseph, take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Carson, Chief Security Scientist in Advisory CISO here at Thycotic Centrify. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I really hope my 25 plus years experience in the industry will help provide you some good educational and lessons on the PAM checklist. And what is the PAM checklist? The PAM checklist is the practical steps to help you achieve success on your journey to privileged access security. And privileged access security is one of the best practices that will help your organizations reduce the risks from cyber attacks. And who is Thycotic Centrify? We help bring solutions that help you discover, manage, provision, and secure access to all privileged accounts from a central dashboard. It's one of the most fully featured privileged access management solutions that is extremely intuitive, well adopted, and helps companies reduce costs and the risks from cyber attacks. So when you join my session tomorrow, I hope it will be very educational and take you through the journey and how you can get to maturity and success with privileged access security. So first of all, let me take you through some of the reasons why you should be choosing privileged access management. Many organizations are still struggling to manage and secure passwords. Many employees are over cyber fatigued. When to choose the next password, when to rotate it, what additional security controls to apply, what the next password should be, how to make it unique, long and complex. Your employees are struggling with password management and password security. And for many organizations, this is sometimes the actually single security control that is the difference between being able to protect your organization and becoming the victim of a cyber attack. Cyber criminals are targeting passwords to gain access to organizations. Is passwords the only security control protecting your business? Well, if it is, then this session that I'm going to be going through tomorrow is for you. And what about local administrators or overprivileged users? Do any of your employees have local administrator rights on the systems that allow them to, for example, install applications, make configuration changes? Do your employees have overprivileged rights or access to systems which they should not? Are you giving employees too many rights in order to make sure you keep them happy or to do their job or to achieve tasks, and never revoking that access after it's no longer needed? Well, this session tomorrow is also for you. What about service accounts? Are you actually enabling in the business back-end operations for applications to communicate to different resources, for applications being installed with default credentials or by a consultant who sets the password and never rotates it? Are you afraid to change your service account passwords, that it might break something? Do you have understanding about the dependencies that service accounts have? Then my session tomorrow is also for you. We have to step back. These are methods that cyber criminals use time and time again to gain access to organizations, to brute force passwords and gain access to sensitive accounts, to use local administrator rights to elevate privileges to domain administrator rights, to abuse service accounts because the passwords are easy guessable and actually can be then leveraged in order to elevate and move around the network undetected. We have to realize that the threats are real. They're happening every single day. Cyber criminals are being extremely successful. And it's what keeps me up at night. It's what keeps security leaders like you up at night. With malware gaining access and stealing data and credentials from organizations. Financial fraud being able to actually, extract and get millions out of organizations from theft. Ransomware that brings businesses to a complete standstill and stop, preventing them from providing critical services to the customers and partners. And also, we have to meet compliance needs and regulation needs and demands. And many organizations, without having the right security controls in place, are failing those audits. And again, data breaches and data poisoning, bringing businesses to a complete stop. insider threats, taking data out of the organizations. And sometimes those insiders are not understanding the risks that they're taking. They're unknowing or unsuspecting victims, secondary victims to cyber attacks by making configuration changes or taking risks to get the job done, all resulting in some type of service or application downtime or revenue or brand damage. And what are some of the most common reasons that data breaches occur? And these are coming from the Verizon Data Breach and Investigations report. Top of the list is poor access management, not making sure the right security controls are applied, or leaving default configurations in place, making the password the only security control protecting an organization. Insecure applications and APIs, really meaning that organizations, from an automation perspective, that attackers are using and basically getting in access to those misconfigurations. Overprivileged users, local administrator rights, service accounts, employees that have too many privileges that allow the attacker to simply go from having, let's say local rights to going to full domain rights with only a few steps. Employees sharing credentials across insecure networks or insecure communication or messaging channels, putting them in their email, storing them in the password located into the browser. Browsers really want your passwords, but unfortunately, by default, browsers don't add any additional security controls. You have to turn them on. Passwords being the only security control, the only defense keeping bad actors out from getting access. Many organizations have enabled remote desktop protocol, or RDP, to the public domain so that employees can still gain access to sensitive systems to perform their jobs and tasks. But again, making it easy and one step for an attacker to gain access and get into an initial foothold in the organization. Enabling third-party access or remote access to employees. And one thing that we've seen in many organizations is shadow IT on the increase, accelerating beyond any expectations, especially with organizations trying to balance between basically keeping their employees productive by enabling a lot of solutions, a lot of applications that really enable employees to work remotely, and therefore shadow IT, businesses going and acquiring and procuring software in order to maintain that productivity without the knowledge and visibility of security, meaning that the risk and the balance between productivity and security is on a thin line. And cybercriminals know this. They target privileged access. They want privileged access because it's the ability to get away with a crime. It's how they move around the network. It's how they gain access to the sensitive data. It's how they extract and steal data out of the organization, and then ultimately using it in order to deploy malicious software such as ransomware, bringing the business to a stop. And we have to remember, we have to step back and think about what is privileged access. Many organizations sometimes assume that it's a role or employee in the organization that might have access to a domain administrator account, but it goes so way beyond that. We have to remember that privileged access is not just about human-based accounts. It's also about non-human accounts that run in the background, APIs, robotic process automation, service accounts that really keep the business and the glue working together, that allows applications access to data and network resources to run reports, to allow basically backups to run, automation tasks. We also have the accounts that humans interact with, such as local administrator accounts in order to fix challenges or issues, domain administrator accounts in order to manage the infrastructure. And we also have normal users accounts that might have access to sensitive data. This really means we have to consider that almost all users are now privileged users. They're not all equal. They all have different risks and different sensitivity and different authorization, but they should be considered privileged, and therefore we must take a risk-based approach to reducing the risks of those users. And that's what privileged account management provides. Privileged access management provides you the ability to get transparency and auditability and add security controls to all of these different accounts. Let's help move passwords into the background. Privileged access management helps you achieve that. It helps you get onto the path to success, reducing cyber fatigue, helping you pass audit and compliance and regulations. It provides a return on investment, one of the most valuable things we have on this earth. It's not oil, it's not data, it's time. Each of us has a limited amount of time on this planet, and the more we can do automation, the more we can move passwords into the background, and the more we can reward employees with more time to do the things they enjoy, to do the tasks that help them be productive. Many organizations might be considering password managers, and they are great, they do provide some value to the business. They help bring encrypted vaults, browser extensions and plugins, additional forms of authentication to help make sure the passwords are not the only security control, some strength check abilities, auto generations, password aids, some limited sharing capabilities. But they all have one major challenge. They still provide delegating that accountability to the employees, which results in having to self-manage. It's not removing cyber fatigue, it's adding to it. There's no discovery capabilities, no central policy management. You result in inconsistent security and very limited integrations. Organizations need to move beyond password managers. And to help you get there, how can we reduce those risks? It's the path to success with privileged access management. I'm going to be taking you through the journey tomorrow on privileged access management lifecycle and the PAM checklist that really takes you through how to get into the right definition for privileged accounts, how to identify the risks, best practices in how to do risk classification, how to do automation, what you can do to manage those accounts and add additional security controls, how to alert on abuse of privileges, how to integrate it into your incident response plan and be incident response ready, and then provide a continuous review, audit, and update process. So I'm going to take you through that journey with privileged access management to help you get the most value, reduce wasted time, and reward your employees. So attend my session tomorrow on the PAM checklist, the practical steps to achieve privileged access security and get you on the path to maturity for privileged access management. My name is Joseph Carson, Chief Security Scientist and Advisory CISO here at Tco Savings, and I look forward to seeing you on my session tomorrow.
Always a great presentation, Joseph. Joseph is like the expert when it comes to PAM. He's written a book on it and so much more. So if you're interested in this and how it can better protect you and your company, I encourage you to attend this deep dive session happening tomorrow. I've just brought up a poll question for everyone out there to respond to. If you would like to receive an invitation, no obligation, of course, then indicate yes there on the poll. So I'll leave that poll up here for a few moments. Let everyone respond while I announce our next prize winner. We have another Samsung S21 smartphone. Awesome new smartphone. Your choice of color. When we contact you and tell you that you are a winner, you can pick whichever color you would like. And this one is going out to Arlene Green from Arkansas. Congratulations, Arlene Green from Arkansas. We've got 4 more Samsung S21 still on the event today, so stay tuned for that, as well as some more excellent presentations. All right, I'll leave that poll up for another moment, let everyone respond, and then we'll move on to our next presentation on today's Discovery Day. All right, thank you to everyone who responded there to the poll. Let's keep the Discovery Days moving here and move on now to our next presentation. I'm excited now to bring in Chris Marshall, CMO and Employee Adoption Evangelist at Espressive. Chris, take it away.
Hi, I'm Chris Marshall. I'm the CMO and Employee Adoption Evangelist for Espressive. Espressive is the pioneer of AI for enterprise service management. I'm here to convince you of why it's going to be worthwhile for you to take the time to hear Fran Fernandez, who's our Chief Product Officer, when he talks about Espressive and conversational AI. Fran was actually the first ever product manager for ServiceNow, so he has a deep ITSM heritage. He's also considered to be one of, if not the father of conversational AI. So I think that his talk will be really worth your time. But let's dig into a little bit more what he'll be talking about. So we all know that the hybrid work environment is here to stay. It came with COVID. And since COVID and since being forced to work from home, employees kind of like doing that. In fact, according to Gartner, between 40 and 50% of employees say that they will quit if they are forced to return to the office. That's an important and a staggering statistic. So we know that hybrid work environments are not going to go away. You'll have employees in the office, you'll have employees at home. So why is that a problem? Employees that work from home have lost the ability to shoulder tap a colleague to ask a question. They've lost an ability to walk up to the help desk. And all they've got are traditional self-help tools like portals. So employees working from home, they want immediate responses, immediate answers to questions. And if they can't do it on the portal, then your call volume is going to go up. In fact, call volumes since COVID at help desks have gone up 35% or more. But it gets more complicated. Employees working from home are trying to balance personal lives and work lives into a harmonious union. And that means that sometimes they're watching kids during the day and they're doing their work at 3 a.m. and they want you to answer a question at 3 a.m. So today's self-help is very manual, it's inefficient, and it's expensive to staff a service desk. 86% of inquiries are requiring an agent today. With conversational AI, you can fundamentally transform that. You could have 60 to 70% of inquiries coming into you answered automatically, instantly, anytime your employees have questions. And then your agents can be up-leveled to be focusing on more high-touch, more skilled activities. So let's look a little bit more deeply at conversational AI. First of all, I bet that a lot of you have chatbots, and I bet you're about to give up on them, as are your employees. The reason for that is a chatbot doesn't understand even the basics. Do you remember in the early days when Siri didn't understand a question that you asked? I remember asking questions of Siri, getting these off-the-wall answers, and I wanted to literally throw my phone against the wall because it was so frustrating. Well, chatbots are kind of like that. They have no contextual awareness. They don't know if you're on a PC or a laptop. So if you ask, how do I connect to a printer? How can they possibly answer the question other than to serve up a whole bevy of knowledge base articles, which is going to cause your employees to just pick up the phone and call you? If they could answer simple Q&A, that would be helpful, but most of the time they get it wrong. And I don't know if you realize this stat, but if your employee tries a chatbot 2 times and 2 times it fails, they won't return. So you've given up and you really can't afford that. And so conversational AI kind of flips all of that upside down. We have a virtual agent named Espresso Barista. Barista understands over 2 billion employee phrases right out of the box. And that's significant because then your employees don't have to have a decoder ring to figure out what to say. If the employee doesn't give enough information and Barista needs more, Barista will just ask questions to get the information that's needed for clarity. And then Barista can actually walk employees right through processes like password reset, like requesting a new laptop. And if they request a laptop and a manager needs to approve, Barista will go out and get that approval, come back and tell the employee once it's approved and ask if they want to submit the order. And if the employee submits the order, it's all handled automatically. So the goal with conversational AI is to answer questions within 3 seconds, to resolve issues seamlessly and frictionlessly for employees. And in those times when an employee needs an agent, to really seamlessly connect them with experts and the right expert. Instead of having to do ping pong to get to the right agent, Barista can send that employee to the right agent the first time around. So let me give you an example from 2 of our customers. The first one is solar turbines. I find this to be a fascinating case study because John Powers, who's the head of client support services, was also responsible for business continuity for the company. So a year before the pandemic, he brought in Barista specifically for that reason. Now, fast forward a year, and he had 40% fewer agents. He tells me it's not because of attrition, it's because they do a lot of promoting folks from within. So whatever the case, he had 40% fewer agents that he hadn't had to backfill because he had Barista. So that's a great thing. But then the pandemic hit, and almost overnight in March, his employees got sent to work from home, and many of them have never worked from home before. So there was a 290% jump in call volume when they had to work from home. That's impossible. You can't scale up enough agents to take care of that. Well, John tells us that by his calculations, Barista scaled to do the work of 99 agent days in that 1 month of March. That's pretty phenomenal. And during the month of March, Barista was able to automate the answer of 63% of the questions that came in. So 63% ticket deflection. They are now using Barista in so many ways. And I think a lot of that came because of their faith that happened during that first month of the pandemic. The next customer that I wanted to talk about or case study is Dexcom. So Dexcom, if you know anything about them, they are in the world of diabetes. They do continuous glucose monitoring devices. And because of that, they are growing like crazy. Even during the pandemic, they grew 30% as an organization year after year last year. Dexcom started using Barista specifically for IT, but they've expanded to HR as well. And they use Barista globally in the Philippines and Asia Pacific. So they are a really good case study. Now, Dennis, who's responsible for the help desk, will tell you that, yes, employees are happier. Yes, it means I don't have to hire at the same rate as before. All of those things are great. But what he thinks is the most exciting is that service desk agents are actually very happy about Barista because they have now become automators versus just agents. And what he means by that is he has folks who are helping to automate Barista further and further all the time. And the rest are focusing on more high touch, more difficult issues because Barista is deflecting 64% of the questions from the help desk. So there's happiness amongst the employees. They are more satisfied. MTTR is improving. And there's happiness with the help desk or service desk agents because their positions are more fulfilling. They right now are they're adding 150 employees a week, which is staggering. And that's really hard to keep up with. In spite of that, they have reduced wait times. They have lower abandonment rates. They've eliminated emails completely. They have these things called Barista Fridays, where the only way to get an answer from IT or HR is through Barista, and it's working really, really well. So this is a great example of where they have utilized Barista in ways that have improved the life for the entire organization and enabled them to grow at phenomenal rates without having to hire service desk agents in proportion to overall growth. So let's just wrap up with a quick look at what Barista or a virtual agent would do for your organization. When an employee asks a question, 60 to 70% of the time, Barista can give an answer within 3 seconds. And by the way, Barista answers questions and responds with employees in 9 different languages today. So in the language of choice for your employees. Barista is also omni-channel, which means Barista does not rely on just Slack or Teams, but employees can get to Barista through several different avenues, which is critically important. You have to meet employees where they are. And then I already said a 3-second response time, or if Barista needs to pull in a service team and get you to an agent to help you, guess what? Barista is not only just for IT. Like I said with Dexcom, Barista is for HR, and Barista actually understands questions across 14 different service teams. And something that we have called smart ticketing, make sure that the question goes to the right team. If it's an HR question, it's not going to get routed to IT. So that's a quick wrap on Espresso Barista and a quick sneak peek into what Fran's going to be talking about, but Fran's going to be doing demos and he's going to be diving it at a much deeper level. So if you're interested in automating employee self-help and in conversational AI, definitely come and listen to Fran's talk. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was really cool. What Espressive is doing with this conversational AI, I bet this could help a lot of companies out there. As someone commented in the audience, 63% ticket deflection is significant, very, very significant for any company out there that's supporting end users or your customers. Having this ability to do conversational AI could just help out so much. I've brought up the poll question for everyone out there that says, would you like to receive an invitation to the upcoming deep dive session on Espressive? Learn exactly how this conversational AI would work. Think about your company, your architecture, your applications, your ticketing tools. How would this interface with those? This is a great opportunity to get all those questions answered live on the Espressive deep dive session tomorrow. All right, so I'll leave the poll up once again while I announce the next winner of our Amazon S21 smartphone. This is going out to Tina Haselu from Wisconsin. Tina Haselu from Wisconsin. Congratulations. We've still got 3 more Samsung S21s to give out. And I want to say special congratulations to our previous winner, Arlene, who commented how excited she was to win. So congratulations. Thanks for supporting today's Discovery Day event. And of course, thank you to everyone out there for supporting today's Discovery Day event. All right, if you haven't answered the poll, now's the time to do it because we're about to move on to our next presentation. All right, thank you everyone for your excellent comments and questions. I'm excited now to bring in our next presenter on today's Discovery Day. Welcome, Zach Brigman, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Metallic. Zach, great to have you on. Take it away.
Al, thanks for joining. My name's Zach Brigman. I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Metallic. And really, it's a pleasure to be here at ActualTech Discovery Days. In this short session, we're discussing how to reduce risk and drive savings with data management as a service. Now we start the conversation around change. Change is happening faster than ever, really for businesses of all sizes. And digital transformation is nothing new, but the rate of change that we're seeing in today's environment is. We've seen this seismic shift in the IT industry over the last couple of years. That stat on the right-hand side is awfully telling, as 80% of enterprises will be moving to cloud-centric infrastructure and applications twice as fast as before the pandemic. And while the driver might be for a myriad of reasons, shedding tech debt, driving and delivering new forms of business continuity, workforce productivity, overhauling legacy systems, IT organizations are uniquely faced with evolving challenges to their businesses and their data. And during this time of change, unfortunately, the risks are higher than ever. First of which is ransomware and new cyber attacks, which is quickly trending in the wrong direction. Now, we've not only seen a massive spike in successful breaches, but also this growing sophistication in the nature of attacks, which is creating new risk around data protection and system protection. Second, constrained resources. So successful digital transformation takes new and unique skills, but this is compounded by the well-publicized skills gap that's leaving many organizations hamstrung today in this already do more with less world. And then lastly, data sprawl. So as more companies transform faster than ever, the amount of data that's increasingly spread across every application, device, on-prem cloud environment, it's magnified. And this multi-generational data sprawl is really challenging to manage and safeguard. So during this era of change, where everything's happening so fast, we're seeing this meteoric rise in data protection as a service in our industry. And really, why is that? Well, companies are looking for solutions that allow them to do more with less, that allow them to be agile, that give them simplified management. They need the flexibility for coverage at any phase in their journey, both now and in the future. And they need to carefully consider how they're going to safeguard their environment and data against today's threats. So for companies who are new to consuming SaaS delivered solutions, there are a number of common questions that we ourselves hear from our customers. Is it secure? Is it expensive? What's the cost profile look like? Is it just applying to protection for SaaS apps? And they're all great questions. In terms of security, when we look at that one, industry-leading SaaS delivered protection can actually play an integral part in today's business strategies when it comes to security posture and mitigating risk from safeguarding from things like ransomware or cyber attack. When it comes to cost, data protection as a service actually offers a flexible subscription model without hardware expenses. Upgrades are built in, there's hassle-free maintenance. So not only does that free IT budgets to do more, but also the IT organization itself to focus on administering other solutions. And when it comes to just SaaS, data protection as a service really has the ability to extend far beyond SaaS environments to protect the data center, the cloud, the edge, and more. So let's talk about how Commvault with Metallic is tackling data protection as a service. Commvault's intelligent data services platform really offers unique capabilities to help solve customers' problems. And you'll see our full portfolio spans end-to-end backup and disaster recovery, file storage optimization, governance, e-discovery compliance. We also have multiple storage options when it comes to Hyperscale X, our integrated appliance and Metallic cloud storage service. But we also deliver industry-leading technologies with flexible delivery models, and this includes Metallic SaaS. It offers unmatched breadth and coverage, combining the best of Commvault enterprise-grade performance, security, and scale in this really light-touch, cloud-oriented, lightweight SaaS delivery model. The Metallic data management as a service portfolio is really more comprehensive than ever. We offer cloud-to-cloud protection of critical SaaS applications like Office 365, Dynamics 365, and Salesforce. We protect a wide range of hybrid cloud environments. That includes VMs, containers, as well as structured and unstructured data. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, we also have Metallic cloud storage available as a secondary target for these environments. We offer endpoint protection for laptops and desktops, which is critically important more than ever in today's remote workforce environment. And with every Metallic subscription, free Azure and Microsoft Active Directory backup is included free of charge. Now, the beauty here is that Metallic really unifies data protection and management for all of these workloads into a single solution. So today's businesses can really break down silos, help manage risk, and safeguard data wherever it lives through a single pane of glass. Now, all of this is built on Commvault technologies with the power of Microsoft Azure, and it really offers this hardened, sophisticated, and multi-layered approach to security safely in the cloud. And industry analyst firms are already validating what customers know today, and that's that Commvault has industry-leading technology. In a recent GigaOM report, Commvault was called out for our ability to solve complex challenges and how we've been able to respond to data management and hybrid cloud needs for today's customers. Gartner also recognized Commvault as a leader for the 10th straight time in their Magic Quadrant for enterprise backup and recovery software solutions. And for the second year in a row, Commvault actually achieved the highest scores across all use cases. That's data center environments, cloud environments, and edge environments, the only vendor in our space to really achieve this distinction. And while we love industry recognition, it's great. Customers are at the core of everything that we do. And whether that be protecting from threats, reducing work, and simplifying operations, helping manage the new norm of today's hybrid cloud world, we're thrilled to have the impact that we've seen with our customers in their day-to-day lives, helping and aiding them in overcoming their data security and management challenges really across a multitude of use cases. And this all amounts to Metallic really setting the bar as the gold standard in data management as a service. We support all major SaaS and enterprise workloads. We're uniquely positioned to help customers at any point in their hybrid cloud journey. And it's all built on the trusted leadership that you've come to know and expect with Commvault and Microsoft Azure. As I close out the presentation today, I just want to thank everyone for their time. I also invite you to check out our day 2 session. We're really going to be unpacking how cloud-delivered data management is an essential component of your strategy, specifically how to improve your security posture from cyber attack, reduce cost, and manage digital transformation. So I can't wait to see everybody there. Again, thank you for the time. Take care.
All right, great presentation. Thank you so much, Zach. That was really interesting to learn about Metallic's SaaS-based data protection and DR solution. I mean, in the time of ransomware here, I know this could help so many companies out there to better protect their data and be able to rapidly recover should they need to. I've just brought up the poll question here that says, would you like to receive an invitation to Metallic's deep dive session that's happening tomorrow to learn more about this relatively new solution from Commvault? Many of you may have never heard of before. The point of tomorrow's session, again, is to go in deeper, get all your questions answered, learn exactly how this would work, to protect your applications and data, where the data lives, what the pricing and licensing model looks like, what it can and can't protect. So we encourage you to join that session if you're interested in improving your data protection and disaster recovery capabilities. Again, I'll leave the poll question up there for everyone to respond to while I announce our next prize winner. We've got another Samsung S21 brand new smartphone. This is going to Joshua Bernal from California. Congratulations, Joshua Bernal from California. Still 2 more grand prizes left on the event today. All right, so I'll leave up that poll question. I give everyone another moment to respond, and then we'll move on to our next presentation. All right, thank you to everyone who responded there to the poll question. Let's go ahead and move on now to the next presentation on today's Discovery Day. I'm excited now to bring in Seth Bobdruff, Director of Product Marketing at Plyops. Seth, it's great to have you on. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Seth Bobroff. I lead the product marketing effort here at Plyops. Thanks for having us today on Discovery Days. We're excited to talk to you about our new product, the Plyops Extreme Data Processor. That's XDP for short. I'd like to highlight, we recently announced broad commercial availability at the end of July. So step on up and get your XDPs. We believe XDP ushers in a new era of accelerated compute and storage performance. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the Plyops Extreme Data Processor and how it can multiply your impact in the data center. All right, let's get going. First, a little bit about our company. Our mission is to massively accelerate the most challenging workloads: relational databases, NoSQL, analytics, AI, ML, 5G, IoT, and more. Our R&D team is based in Israel, and the business team is in San Jose. We built an elite team of experts in databases, flash storage, and semiconductors from across the industry. And we're backed by the biggest innovators in the industry: Intel, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Western Digital, Xilinx, and others. They see the same challenges as we do and the need for what Plyops has developed. The industry's also recognized our innovation each year, starting back in 2019. Most recently, we've been included in 3 Gartner Hype Cycle reports. I believe this shows that we're at the core of a new revolution in the data center. Okay, let's take a look at the problem Plyops is addressing and some key data center trends. It's not surprising that flash adoption is accelerating in the data center. NVMe SSDs are easily 1,000 times faster than hard drives, but they're not being fully utilized. One reason is Moore's law is slowing. CPU performance is on pace to double every 20 years versus 2 years historically. Adding more cores is hitting a wall because they share the same memory and I/O, and so we're at a point of diminishing return. The solution is to add more servers, more processing power per unit of storage. That's the way we've always done it, right? But it's expensive and it's not good for the planet. Our customers tell us this is a problem for them today, and it's getting a lot worse. So putting all of this together, we see 3 major challenges for the next wave of SSD adoption. First, the server architecture is not balanced. Adding more SSDs that are 1,000 times faster than hard drives is not being matched by the rest of the system. Second, software architecture deals with this by taking shortcuts. Storage engines used by many applications to save data to drives amplifies the data and strains the server CPU. There's write amp, read amp, and space amp. Can easily be up to 50 to 100 times more than needed. This crushes storage and burns through flash's lifespan. Third is system reliability. You never hear about RAID 5 being used with flash. It's just way too slow. We see customers deploying RAID 0, RAID 10, or other methods, but they all have big trade-offs with cost, performance, and data protection. We think there's a better way, and that's the Plyops Extreme Data Processor. Just as GPUs overcome processing inefficiencies to accelerate AI and advanced analytics, Plyops XDP overcomes storage inefficiencies to massively accelerate performance and dramatically lower overall infrastructure cost. XDP is delivered on a low-profile PCIe card, fits in any server, accelerates any workload, and works with any SSD. We talk about the product in terms of our 4 value pillars: performance, reliability, capacity, and efficiency. Performance, 3x is easily achievable, 15x, we have several examples of that, and even higher. Reliability, Plyops Drive Fail Protection offers RAID 5-like capabilities that's more than 2 times faster than RAID 0 during a drive rebuild. Capacity. Through various technologies, we let companies store up to 10x more user data on their flash than they can with software alone. Efficiency. This is about cost savings on top of everything combined, but also being able to use the lowest cost QLC and TLC flash. QLC, as you know, has a lot of trade-offs in terms of performance and endurance. For us, it really doesn't matter because we can deliver the same performance and higher endurance with QLC than TLC with software. All right, let's get into a little more detail on application performance scaling and TCO benefits. This comparison shows what XDP can achieve when compared to software only. Also note the interface being used is either block or native KV. Let's start on the left with RocksDB, a standalone software key value store that's considered state-of-the-art. Many applications use it, and we can deliver tens of performance gains over software. Next, we have QLC SSDs. As we talked about, its low-cost, high-capacity options, we make them 17 times faster with higher endurance. Then we have Redis, a very popular in-memory data service, uses all DRAM, which we know is very expensive. We can deploy Redis using flash memory and get very high performance, nearly equivalent to DRAM, but at a much lower cost. Next, we have a few typical database examples, MySQL, MariaDB, MongoDB. Using a standard block interface, no software changes required, we're getting nearly 3 times the performance over software only. Then moving over to the right, there's TCO savings. On top of all the other benefits we just talked about, you can lower cost anywhere from about 50% to 80%. Some say this seems like magic. Our customers actually say it's too good to be true. But when we give them a card, they can see it for themselves that it is true. And tomorrow we'll go a bit deeper into how XDP works. So here are some examples of PlyOps XDP enabling customer firsts across different use cases. Here we have the first full performance NVMe RAID 5. I'm calling it RAID 5 here. I mentioned drive fail protection previously. So this is the first NVMe RAID 5-like capability. And a $100 billion pure SaaS provider uses XDP to eliminate SSD-related server downtime for tens of thousands of MariaDB instances. They're really struggling with lots of SSD-related server failures using RAID 0. And when they saw what XDP can do in terms of data protection, they said this is a total game changer for them. Next, we have the first QLC deployment for mainstream infrastructure as a service workloads. The top 3 China hyperscalers deploying QLC for high density clusters to achieve ultra high reliability. They're delivering an elastic block storage like service. And again, they said this is a total game changer. The ability to use QLC and to have data protection at the same time without any performance trade-off is a total game changer. Next, first is full hardware acceleration of file system metadata. A large US government HPC lab is using XDP for file system metadata acceleration, as well as multiple native key value applications. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. So again, please come to the day 2 session. Lastly, XDP's enabling new use cases. I mentioned Redis previously, but in this example, a top semiconductor manufacturer is extending their in-memory data from 1 week to 6 months. So they're able to put 6 months worth of data in the same footprint that they had a week's worth of data using XDP and SSDs. And what this does, it allows their engineers to analyze 6 months of data in one shot. And they said this is a tremendous boost in helping to accelerate their innovation. So with that, let me go into a summary and call to action. So we've been talking about the PlyOps Extreme Data Processor, how it accelerates business critical applications. You can get more out of your existing infrastructure. It's interesting. This is something else we're also hearing with the chip shortage today. Difficult to get servers. So if you use XDP, you can get up to 3 times more out of your infrastructure. Works with any server, any SSD. It's plug and play, no software changes, and enables new use cases to help fuel your innovation. So that's what I have today for the overview. I'd like you to join us tomorrow for day 2. We'll take a deep dive and see the magic under the hood for XDP. Thanks for joining and have a great day.
Great presentation, Seth. Really fascinating what you all are doing there at PlyOps to modernize storage. I know so many companies out there have, legacy storage systems in place. They struggle with the cost and the performance and the availability of those. And it sounds like PlyOps could be an amazing solution that could give them the performance and availability and flexibility that they need. So really cutting edge, innovative solution there from PlyOps. I've just brought up the poll question for everyone out there that says, would you like to receive an invitation to the deep dive session that PlyOps is doing tomorrow? If you can't make the session, no worries. You will receive a link to the recording as well after that session completes. So again, appreciate your feedback there on the poll, and I will leave that up while I announce our next grand prize winner. We've got another Samsung S21. This is going to Bonnie Westfall from Washington. Congratulations, Bonnie Westfall from Washington. Still one more grand prize to give out on today's Discovery Day event. So make sure that you stay tuned for that, as well as our final session. And so let me give everyone just a few more moments here to respond to the poll, and then we'll move on to that final session. All right. Thank you to everyone who responded to the poll. We do appreciate that. It's now time to move on to our next session on Discovery Days. And with that, I'm excited to introduce you to Keith Parker, who is a Director of Product and Solutions Marketing at Pavilion. Keith, great to have you on. Take it away.
Hello, and welcome to this presentation by Pavilion Data Systems on how you can derive greater value from your data faster, simpler, and at scale. The topic of today's Discovery Day event is the technologies today that will transform tomorrow. And in that spirit, today, I want to talk to you about a technology that can be, well, transformative. Now, if you're not familiar with Pavilion, we make storage. And when you talk to storage vendors, they like to talk about how big their storage is, or maybe how fast their storage is. They all like to talk about all the things their storage can do. And today, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. None of that matters. Don't get me wrong. It's good to know if one vendor's box is faster than the others. That's a good data point, but not really. You see, when you look at storage systems from the traditional vendors, all the companies you think of when you think of data storage, well, they each have their own little claims as to why they are the best. The reality is that they're all pretty much the same. Sure, one might have a software feature that the others don't, and one might be marginally faster or bigger than the others. But when you get right down to it, they're all pretty much the same. They all use the same interface chips from the same manufacturers. They come with the same drives from the same vendors. They all use the exact same slow legacy interface. And most importantly, they're all based on the exact same fundamental architecture. They're all the same. And since they're all the same, they all have the same inherent limitations. To say that data volume, variety, and velocity is growing faster than ever before has become a cliche, but it has become a cliche because it is true. And that massive scale of data growth has finally reached the point where those legacy storage systems simply cannot keep up. They just can't do it. Don't take my word for it. Take Gartner's. Roger Cox, longtime storage analyst with Gartner, said in a report on innovative all-flash array offerings architected for the data-centric era that next-generation data-centric workloads like artificial intelligence, modeling, and simulation require bandwidth, latency, and IOPS performance beyond the capabilities of NVMe technology-enabled dual controller scale-up of all-flash storage arrays at scale. In other words, for tomorrow's workloads, which is what we're all actually running today, and is the thing we're here to talk about, the best, fastest, highest performing storage solutions from all the traditional vendors cannot deliver on what you need. And in no area is that more true than in data ingest, write performance. When we talk about the challenge of the rate of data creation, that is the challenge we're talking about. All this data in all its different forms is being created so quickly that traditional storage systems, the biggest, best, fastest, most powerful storage you can buy from any of your traditional high-performance storage vendors, simply cannot keep up. And it doesn't matter which one you choose, because they're all the same. And you simply cannot transform tomorrow with more of the same. Electric vehicles are going to transform transportation, not internal combustion engines. Green renewable power is going to transform energy, not oil and coal. And your business is not going to be transformed by the same old storage. What you need is a solution that will enable you to get more value, more benefits, more insights from your data, which, along with your employees, is your most valuable asset, all so that your organization can do more. Imagine what you could do if you could move, manage, analyze, and edit data faster than you ever thought possible. And what if you could do that on a single platform that doesn't just handle all of your data, but delivers extreme performance to every data type at the same time, consistently and predictably? Using a platform that is extremely dense so it is easier to connect and manage, takes up a small fraction of the space, costs less to operate, lasts longer, can be managed from anywhere, and inherently has performance, reliability, and availability that is unmatched by any other platform. What if that platform is flexible enough to support all the different data types such as block, file, and object, all while using a wide range of different protocols, including NVMe OF, NFS, SMB, iSCSI, S3, the list goes on, all while enabling tiering to low-cost disk and is compatible with any cloud strategy. Now imagine if you could scale up capacity or performance or both within the box as you need it, and then scale out across systems to any capacity with linear performance. So what you get from one box, you get twice that from two, 3 times that from 3, and so on. True linear scale. And all of those systems are connected using modern high-performance networking technologies such as Ethernet or InfiniBand. Just imagine what you could do with all the high performance, high throughput, low latency of direct attached storage, but with the scalability, the reliability, and ease of management that you get from network storage. And above all, you get data ingest, write performance that you didn't think was possible. It almost sounds too good to be true, and yet you can actually have all of that, and you can get it today. You can get it because at Pavilion, we realized that the traditional dual controller array architecture had reached the end of its ability to continue getting better, just like Gartner said. That is why here at Pavilion, we took a different approach. You see, the underlying thing that makes all storage arrays the same is their architecture. They're all dual controller arrays, meaning that a storage array is essentially a 2-node server cluster with some amount of direct attached storage. The server cluster then provides services to that storage. So instead of basing our solution on a server cluster, the Pavilion architecture is designed like the fastest thing in the data center, the network switch. And because we based our solution on a switched architecture, we can do more of, well, everything. The Pavilion system isn't a dual controller architecture, it is a multi or many controller architecture. There aren't just 2 controllers, there are up to 20 independent controllers per system, each with its own networking, memory, and OS instance. Traditional arrays are generally performance limited if you put more than 24 drives in a system. As a general rule, the processors in a dual controller system simply cannot handle more than that. The multi-controller design of Pavilion lets you take advantage of up to 72 drives in a single system, which means a single 4RU array can hold over 2 petabytes of NVMe capacity and performance. What kind of performance, you ask? The Pavilion system delivers unheard of performance from a single array. And remember, that is from a single 4RU array, which brings me to my next point, density. It is incredibly easy to deliver massive performance by throwing a lot of big iron at the problem. We have a long list of competitors, well, all of them really, that can match our performance numbers. If you look at their data sheets, their websites, they list throughput that is the same or better than ours. But what does it take for them to do that? That is the question you have to ask. When we talk about our performance, we are talking about our single box performance. They're talking about the maximum their whole platform can do. They're talking about a full rack of systems, sometimes 2 full racks of systems. Seriously, most of our competitors require 1 to 2 full racks of systems to deliver what we do with a single box. Imagine if we use 2. And what kind of data are we talking about? Remember, Pavilion is the only solution available that supports block, file, and object data simultaneously with extreme high performance for all of them at the same time. Most vendors will support 2 data types, but not with high performance for both, and certainly not for all 3 with high performance at the same time. Instead, if you want high performance for different data types, you generally have to buy different solutions, often with different management interfaces, which drives up your CapEx cost, your footprint, your management cost, and everything else. Not so with Pavilion. With Pavilion, you can get up to 120 gigabytes per second of performance for reads and up to 90 gigabytes per second for writes for block data. And for block data, it's not just throughput you have to look at. IOPS matter. Pavilion delivers up to 20 million IOPS per system. File performance is equally impressive with up to 90 gigabytes per second per read and up to 56 gigabytes per write. And for object storage, we deliver up to 80 gigabytes per second per read and 36 gigabytes per second for writes. And remember, those numbers are per system. With Pavilion, you can scale out across any number of systems, again, with linear incremental performance. For block, you can scale out using our file system, or you can bring your own parallel file system, such as Spectrum Scale, Lustre, or BGFS. For file and object, you can scale within our global namespace, effectively without limit. And again, with consistent linear performance. And it's not just throughput. Pavilion delivers game-changing ultra-low latency. For block storage, Pavilion delivers that extreme performance with latency as low as 25 microseconds measured at the host. Let me say that again. 25 microseconds measured at the host. Most other vendors are happy to be under a millisecond. A couple of them even brag about 500 microseconds. We are 20 times better than that, and we measure at the host. What does that mean? Well, typically storage vendors measure latency as the time it takes from when their system receives an IO request until they send that IO request back out on the wire. It is the latency within their system. Pavilion measures latency as the time it takes from when an IO request is received to when it is placed within the host system memory. In other words, we include the latency within the system along with sending data over the network and placing it in the memory of the host system. So we are not just faster, we're faster over a longer distance. And it's not just performance. The next generation multi-controller architecture of Pavilion enables you to take advantage of data reliability and availability features that you simply cannot find anywhere else. So to sum up, the next generation architecture from Pavilion delivers performance and density, along with scalability, reliability, and flexibility that cannot be found anywhere else and is compatible with any cloud strategy. Ultimately, this enables you to get more value, more insights from greater volumes of data in less time and with a lower total cost than any other solution. And that is how we are able to solve the data challenges of tomorrow with today's technology. And with that, I'd like to invite you to please join us tomorrow to learn more about how Pavilion has redefined what storage can do for you and your organization. Thank you.
All right, excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Keith, there from Pavilion. I've just brought up a poll question for everyone out there that asks if you would like to receive an invitation to Pavilion's deep dive session taking place tomorrow to learn more about this exciting new storage solution that you may have never heard of before. This is a really revolutionary storage solution, and I know it could help a lot of companies out there deal with their storage challenges. So I'll leave this poll question up here for just a moment and let everyone respond. Hopefully you would like to join that session. Again, no obligation. If you can't make it, we will send you a recording link after the event. Don't forget we've got one more grand prize still to announce. All right, thank you to everyone who responded to that poll. I've got one more poll I'm going to bring up now for anyone who perhaps joined us a little late or simply forgot to respond to one of the earlier polls. I'm just going to bring up this poll now that has every solution on it. And if you forgot to respond to a previous poll, that yes, you would like to receive an invitation, this is your chance to select any and all of the solutions presented on the Discovery Day event today. All right, we got some great questions coming in here for Pavilion about whether or not it supports multi-protocol in file. What are the minimum hardware requirements to run it? These are excellent questions, and they will be answered on the deep dive session tomorrow. So we hope to see you there. Hope to have you on that event and get all your questions answered. And in the meantime, again, I'll leave this up while I announce the winner of our final Samsung S21 smartphone. This is going out to Haitran, Haitran from Washington, D.C. Congratulations, Haitran from Washington, D.C. We will reach out to all the prize winners after the Discovery Day event today. And of course, we hope to see you on tomorrow's deep dive sessions. These are great opportunities to get all your questions answered on these exciting enterprise tech solutions that I know can help so many companies out there deal with the challenges that you face on a daily basis. All right, if you haven't answered the poll question, now's the time to do it because we are wrapping up the Discovery Day event. And with that, I want to say congratulations to all of our prize winners. Don't forget to join us on the 10 on Tech podcast over in the iTunes podcast directory. If you are a potential sponsor of an upcoming event, reach out to us at connect@actualtechmedia.com and watch your email inbox for invitations to tomorrow's deep dive day 2 sessions on our Discovery Day event series. You'll hear from experts at all of the special companies that you heard about on the Discovery Day event today. So we hope to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the Discovery Day event, and we'll see you on day 2. Have a great day. Bye-bye.